So it is 6 o'clock, just about. I'm not sure if we have a recording secretary tonight. However, the meeting is taped, so we will be able to have minutes taken subsequent to the public hearing. I did mention to the folks that have already come on to the meeting that I've received a number of comments in writing. And when we get to that point, I'll simply mention a brief analysis of what folks have already said. I was grateful to Mary and Carol Ravicki at the Senior Center for getting us some input, particularly from our seniors. So I'll read the legal notice of the public hearing for the Board of Selectmen on Monday, June 29, 2020 at 6 p.m. pursuant to section 503, letter I of the Portland Charter. Notice is given. The town of Portland will conduct a public hearing by the Board of Selectmen on Monday, June 29, 2020 at 6 p.m. to discuss the fiscal year 2020 Community Development Block Grant CDBG COVID-19 program and solicit citizen input through the Zoom link, which is identified in the call of the meeting. The town will apply for funds related to eligible activities outlined by the Connecticut Department of Housing, which will receive $7,894,393. Eligible activities under COVID-19 funding must prevent, prepare, or respond to the COVID-19 crisis. Major activity priority categories are related to housing, public services, planning, and technical assistance. Projects funded with CDBG allocations must carry out at least one of these three national objectives. Number one, benefit to low and moderate income persons. Number two, elimination of slums and blight. Or three, meeting urgent community development needs. The purpose of the public hearing is to obtain citizens' views on the town's needs, which could be part of the town's application for funding for COVID-19 funds for 2020. If you are unable to attend the virtual public hearing, you may direct written comments to the Town of Portland for Selectmen's Office, P.O. Box 71, Portland, Connecticut, or you may telephone 860-342-6715. And in addition, information may be obtained from me at my email address, which is sbransfield@portlandct.org. And I did receive many comments. The First Selectman's Office, on behalf of the Town of Portland, anticipates applying for a grant in the amount of approximately $250,000 related to the prevention, preparation, and response to elderly services under the COVID-19 program. The Town of Portland promotes fair housing, makes all programs available to low and moderate income households, regardless of race, creed, color, national origin, ancestry, sex, gender, identity, or expression, marital status, age, lawful source of income, familial status, learning disability, or physical, mental disability, or sexual orientation. All are encouraged to attend, and the hearing is accessible to handicapped. Any disabled persons requiring special assistance or non-English speaking persons should contact Lincoln White, our Americans with Disabilities Act coordinator, at 860-342-6728, or at least 5 days prior to the hearing. We are an equal opportunity affirmative action employer and provider. This notice was dated the 18th of June, 2020. Attest Susan S. Bransfield, and it was properly noticed. Donna Bankowski of Spring Street says, would love to be able to join my friends for meals at the center again. Day trips would be wonderful, especially on a bus that can accommodate a number of seniors. Looking forward to reopening as I miss the programs at the center. Time spent with others is good for the body and the soul. Rosalani Ferguson of Co Avenue says she has a few items. She thinks it makes sense to have one vehicle to transport townspeople for doctor's appointments, and over the long haul could be savings. She wants to know how we would become COVID-19 compliant, and I think our grant writer Dale Krupp and our Director of Senior Services Mary Pont will address that in a few minutes. She wants to know if we're going to retrofit the current senior van, which is something we're looking at doing. She wasn't certain, and we're not certain what we would do with the van that we share with Cromwell. Don't think we'll be attempting to do anything on that, but that's something we can talk about. And then on the kitchen improvements, she says, we've talked about this, seems forever. Let's make sure we follow the health restrictions and procedures, and wants to know how the details would be worked out, which is something we can certainly work on as we proceed. She's also concerned that it would be possible, perhaps, if we could make any application for the food bank. I'm not certain we'll be able to do that at this point, Rosalani, but it's certainly something for our consideration. And anything we do in terms of a kitchen and having equipment could certainly benefit the food bank in the future. I had something from Gloria Godovin. Gloria lives on Summer Street, and she says, hi, Susan, thanks for asking for our opinions. I'd like to emphasize the need for seniors to be able to get together in a safe environment for mental and physical health issues. The bus is a must for many people to be able to participate in any activities. The kitchen renovations are very ambitious and should be considered if participation is guaranteed. Would we need to hire more people, and how would we cover the added expenses? I know how important it is helping seniors maintain physical and mental health. And if these improvements can be made to help the senior population, I vote for it. And then from Sari Rizzo, he says he agreed with the amended citizens participation plan, which we have in light of COVID-19. We're garnering input from Zoom as opposed to a physical in-person meeting at our building. And he also agrees with the proposed grant requests. So at this point, I'll ask Kevin, are there any comments, Kevin?
There is no public comment at this time.
I'll turn it over to Dale Krupp. I'd like to introduce Dale, who's been helping the town of Portland with the Community Development Block Grant writing. And Dale and I, along with others, worked on an application recently to apply for Community Development Block Grant money to assist with homelessness prevention. That grant has been submitted, is under consideration, would be a regional approach to helping people who are homeless find a way to get homes, and also some social and emotional and other types of information that they could get. But that is something we've already done, Dale. I'd like you to speak to the current grant that we're meeting on tonight, if you would, please.
Hey, can you hear me okay, everybody?
Very good.
Yes.
Okay, good. So thank you for having me tonight. As Susan pointed out, I've worked on your previous grant. I've been working on small cities grants and all the little twists and turns of small cities grants for 36 years. You know, we had issues like Hurricane Sandy a few years ago, and there was some boutique funding, extra funding that was available to communities that were impacted to events like that. So with COVID, of course, it's hopefully a one-time deal, and hopefully by next year we have a vaccine. But in the meantime, community development goes on. Your public services go on. So the premise of the Small Cities program is the same always, to benefit low and moderate income people primarily. They have the other categories like slum and blight and the emergency category, but that doesn't fit what you want to do. That's for extreme cases. So for the benefit low and moderate income people, you can do that by directly benefiting them by documenting their income, but then there are other categories of people that are presumed to be low and moderate income, and senior citizens fit that category because many of them are on fixed income. So it's automatically eligible. The question is it competitive? So as Susan said, there's about $7 million of funding available for all small cities. I think there's, let's say 169 towns in Connecticut, minus 26 cities. That's who's eligible. That's not everybody that's going to apply. But this has to be COVID related, as Susan pointed out, that you have to help you prepare, prevent, and respond. And that was the mantra of the day of the training that we all have. With the previous application, 43 different exhibits that we had to prepare for that homeless prevention homeless diversion application. This is really different. This is just a straight up narrative by Susan's office. What we're doing today with citizen participation, but it has to be totally related to COVID. So we had a discussion within town hall about eligible activities, and it's my job to suggest what might be the most competitive application for you to apply for. And I know in the resolution it said something about 250, but that was just a guess at the time, and this was a month ago. So now we've narrowed it down to an application for $185,000 for the items that Susan outlined: the purchase of a new van, the retrofit of an existing van, and the renovations to the kitchen, to not only bring in citizens who buy the van who don't want to drive or are afraid to drive, but also to deliver food going the other way, like a Meals on Wheels type of thing. And I work with Mary to get some of the costs of it. The purchase of the new van comes from a state bid, if I remember correctly. And the kitchen equipment was a spec put together through the town hall, considering prevailing wages and all the usual costs that go into it. But again, we're just making improvements to help senior citizens get access to transportation and food services. This also includes all the things that they normally get transportation for beyond just food, but errands and things like that. So that is it in a nutshell. There's $7 million. Pretty good chance of getting the money, but you are in competition with, probably 30, 40 different towns that will be applying all different amounts. So we focused on seniors. You can only focus on one type of activity. You can't do this and housing or this and something else. There's going to be a second round. I'll point out they're calling it tranche number 2 that will be coming here in the summer. You might want to apply for something else at that point, but let's just get this one in. The application is due on July the 10th. My guess is they're going to make a quick decision on these because they have to figure out who might reapply under tranche 2. Your other grant that Susan mentioned went in I think it was May, if I recall.
Yes.
They don't make that decision till around Labor Day. So I bet you it's going to be every bit of summer before you hear on that. So I think I covered it all. I think if you have details about what's going to be on the van, I think Mary, not to put you on the spot, but Mary and I have been corresponding back and forth about, I do know on the van, there were some, on your current van, there's going to be a filtration system, a barrier system, things that would make them feel good about getting on the van to come to the senior center. And that's what I have. I don't know if there's any questions.
Mary, did you want to make a couple comments about some of the things we've talked about for this?
Well, I think one of the things that we certainly know is that without we'll start with the small item of retrofitting our vans. Without retrofitting the vans for protection of both our drivers as well as our seniors, we're really probably not going to be able to get those back on the road. The car is another issue. We do have, I think it'd be interesting I'm just going to read one of the quick things about our vehicles, because I think that's important. The vehicles that we have right now, we have a 2010 Crown Vic with 114,000 miles on it. We have a 2009 Ford 350, 8-passenger. That is 65,000 miles. Doesn't seem like a lot of miles, but when you think of the kind of miles that they're traveling, it's stop and go, stop and go, stop and go. That's pretty tough on a vehicle. We have a 2017 Ford 350. That's our 12-passenger that we share jointly with Cromwell. We have that every other 2 weeks, so 2 weeks a month for that. We are continually running on the road with, our biggest thing is right now with our seniors that need extensive doctor's appointments. And when we have 3 vehicles, they are on the road continually. We need to make sure that if and when, hopefully sooner than later, and we're not sure when that's going to happen, get them back on the road. We're going to have to make sure they're safe for those folks to get in. So we're working on that issue. We know that the amount of hours on the road have extended over the course of time for our drivers and our seniors, because we're seeing those numbers increase, the mileage increase on all the vehicles. So a vehicle definitely is a priority due to all of those factors. The retrofitting, as I was talking to the manufacturer dealer for the bus, one of the things that he had suggested was, yes, to get the retrofitting of the areas around the driver to protect them from the passengers as well as the passengers from the driver, but talk about the HEPA filter, which is with UV light on it, that is a really, really great functional piece of material equipment to put into these buses that will certainly cut down on, for instance, and I know they just said, they were talking about on TV about air conditioning doesn't affect, but he said that when you have the air conditioner going in a bus in the back and somebody sneezes in the back, it just blows it straight through. So we're looking at, a lot of times we might have two people if they're going on a doctor's appointment and the driver, or if they're close to where they have to go, or just one person. But that still is something that if we have something else there that's going to protect our definitely folks that are of that age, that we just don't want anything to happen to them, to even think of something would happen to them because of that. So that's one of the reasons we looked at that. That was suggested to me by the manufacturer. The kitchen, as Susan said, we've talked about the kitchen in the past, but we know that a lot of our seniors are home and they don't get out and drive. We're finding that a lot of, if they have children, they may not even be in the area. We have worked out sort of a volunteer system that people are going and delivering food for them because they are afraid to come out. They don't want to go out and go to the stores. We do have some that are going out to the stores, but we need to make sure that we're going to be able to, if this continues, if this happens again, that we're going to be able to possibly do the grab and go meals, be able to deliver meals to the doorstep, work on maybe the volunteer system that we did in the past many years back where we had that kind of Meals on Wheel program with volunteers and or others helping to deliver the meals to the steps. So that's sort of it in a very thumbnail sketch. And certainly if there's any questions, I'd certainly do my best to answer them for you.
Thank you, Mary. I'm going to ask Kevin if there's any other input from the public.
Nope, there is no additional public comment at this time, though I will mention if anyone does want to speak, if they have not seen the chat message, they can go ahead and add that question in there. But at this time, there's no additional public comment.
Okay. I may have received additional emails, so I will double check in my office and add that to the record subsequent to this meeting. If there's no further public comment, we will be convening the public Board of Selectmen special meeting in just about a minute. And at that time, the Selectmen will have discussion on this, and Dale will remain, as well as Mary, to answer questions. I do see one chat message, I think. Oh, it's from Kevin telling everyone to type in their message. So thank you, Kevin. With that, I will close the public hearing. It is 6:19 p.m.